And
take two. Welcome to the Big Damn Podcast, the monthly insider look at Big Damn Films, our production and distribution company. We're going to share the latest, which this is the last podcast, so literally the last year podcast. Talk about our production and distribution company, and we're also going to introduce you to somebody that's near and dear to my heart, which is Brooke Mulkins. But this is where the music will cut in. So welcome everybody to the podcast. It's the December edition of the Big Damn Podcast. As I said earlier, with me as always is the man who will literally run more this month than I have since I was 12, Logan Lisk.
Yeah, we're looking forward to end the year with a bang, with good stories, good conversation, and yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So as we're going out at the final year, you know what? We're going to bring our guest. Our guest is Brooke Mulkins. I've known Brooke for a long time, about a decade now. And I'm getting a nodding confirmation for those of you that can't see her. That Brooke Mulkins is a costume designer, screenwriter, actress, and all-around badass. I met Brooke on ZCon and helped kickstart her in the direction of stuff we'll talk about in a minute. So what do you say? We bring her up?
Brooke Mulkins, come on down.
Hi.
Hey.
I didn't know this was the last podcast of the year.
It is. There's not much time left in December.
I feel so honored. I mean, I guess so. This year flew by. So
it did. It totally.
Well, it's also the end of year 2, so
yes,
it's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
honored.
Oh, please stop. We're honored. This is your first podcast.
I know. I'm like very happy it's with you all.
Mm-hmm.
We need to start sending everybody mugs.
Yep.
Oh, you should. Oh,
yep. Oh,
especially,
definitely.
I mean, I have this mug, which is like adorable, but.
So the story about our mugs is I think I have 4 of these and none of them are the same because, we have swag now. Like one of the things that we've talked about.
We're like a real company.
We're like a real company.
I want that baseball tee.
You can pick it up at bigdammentertainment.com. And I'll send you one. That's fine. So when we relaunched Big Damn Films, we're like, I never put the company forward. Like it was always Browncoats Redemption. It was always ZCon. It was it was never me. I just happened to be the face that talked about things. But like I always looked at it as like pushing a project. So when Logan now being 50% owner, we came to the table and we're like, we're going to make it a production and distribution company. Mainly because every independent filmmaker I know that has given it to a regular distribution house still barely ever makes money.
Mm-hmm.
And anything that I've done myself, we've made money. So I want to be able to help other people with under $100,000 productions actually get their stuff out there. Thank you. So we got some branding done. We have our materials, and then back to the coffee mugs. The printer kept getting the colors wrong. It's really not difficult. This is supposed to be light blue. This is supposed to be orange. That's supposed to be gold. And this one is black, brown, and mustard. And then I have one that's smaller. So yeah, we have
collectibles.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Logan can tell you, when you come visit Camp Jane, you walk away with a unsellable Big Damn Films mug. So, Brooke. Hi.
Hi.
I will say, out of everybody that worked on ZCon that didn't have prior experience, your resume is literally rivaling Claire Brooks with the most shit done.
Thank you. I appreciate that. A lot of hours.
Yeah. And not, look, I'm going to toot your horn because I'm super proud of you, and I've always been.
I appreciate that.
You know that I'm never going to say anything behind your back that I wouldn't say to your face. So, damn, girl.
Oh my gosh, I'm like literally getting pains in my head from like smiling. Stop.
Look, you we met because of Kat and Darren Archer recommending you and a bunch of other people to audition for ZCon.
Yep.
Which you did, and you had a baby face, so I couldn't put you in the role that we wanted you.
Quite look like a doctor.
You look like a resident. You look like a resident, not a grilled scientist.
No, I looked like the patient. Okay.
Yeah. So, but you decided to stay on board, and like, your face is in the first ever fire stunt I've ever recorded.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm.
And you helped out in costuming.
Yeah, I should have worn a better bra that day. I remember. Now that you say that, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember. Because you had me like running in slow motion, and I just remember being like, but no, that was awesome. I remember feeling the heat on my face, and I was like, this is sick.
Yeah, I just remember all of Jeff Wilhelm and everybody, the level of safety that went into just setting 2 people on fire.
Yeah, no, it's impressive.
And yeah, I mean, look, people that worked on ZCon in the stunts team have gone on to, like, Gary Peoples worked on ZCon, and he was the stunt double for every Drax the Destroyer in Marvel movies.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
You know, we've had people who have been involved in the industry prior, like, you know, Matt and Brett go on to do like television shows and stuff like that.
No, stunts is no joke. And also, I love my stunt people and my stunt community, and y'all deserve an Oscars category.
They
I'm
do.
just gonna say that right now.
Absolutely.
They do.
Because I've seen some live stunts in person that are just insane, and yeah. Credit.
Yeah. So I want to take a moment because, you know, part of coming back to Big Damn Films is finishing ZCon. And we all talked a little bit beforehand, and you kind of know the premise about what's going on, and people that are in the lovely 2 people that are in the Patreon group besides Logan and I kind of know the premise. I want to talk about your experience on ZCon, because one of the things, and this is where putting everything on my sleeve, you know, it's been hard to come back to it because there was a lot of personal shit that happened for me around that time, and things went sideways on that. We've talked about that in the past.
Yeah.
But I want to hear like your experience, because I know, like Austin, who was on before, like you had a slightly positive experience.
I had a very positive experience. No, I had a great time on ZCon. Like, I think truly, and I'm not just like saying this because you're one of my dear friends, but like it really did cement me wanting to move to Los Angeles and like do this for a living. And, you know, part of that might have just been just being naive. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. But no, it was wonderful. Like, because, you know, like I don't act as much anymore. I did it in LA for a bit, and I realized it was not for me. But I went, and like you said, I auditioned for you. Didn't get it, which is already like tough, right? Because like just being an actor is so hard, like because you're just like, you know, there's a million reasons why I didn't get the job. Like I've literally, when I was a PA once, not to sidetrack, but like
segue. It's random.
But like when I was a PA once, I remember like, and this was when I was still wanting to be an actor, but I was PAing on like this Lifetime movie, and I literally heard one of the producers be like, "Oh well, we can't cast them because they have blue eyes." What? Like, also, am I allowed to curse? Because I tend to curse a lot. Is that
bad? You can say shit. Fuck that.
Okay. I've been around children all day, and I'm like, we need to let it out.
Let it fly.
No, but I remember just sort of sitting there like really? Like that's it? But that's truly like sometimes those decisions come down to like very stupid reasons. And so, but going back to it, it's like, you know, I wanted so badly to be part of the movie as an actor, didn't get it, was super bummed. But then I was like, you know what? I remember meeting you and being like, you know, maybe if I just like ask if I can help. Like I wasn't expecting money. I wasn't expecting like anything crazy. I didn't think you were going to like make me a department head, but I was just like, I just want to help. Like, I just want to be part of it, because there's not that many movies that were shooting in Maryland at the time, if at all. And, you were down, and you were very
Oh, yeah.
kind and warm and, generous. And that's something that I love about you. And you just sort of like
Oh,
took me under your wing, and you were like, yes, like do X, Y, and Z, like meet this person, meet that person, do this, do that. And
yeah.
it really like got me the experience, even though it was like on a smaller scale, but it still got me the like, okay, like this department does this department does that. I got to like do, it just gave me that exposure that I think I needed to be like, oh, like you can also, because I feel like growing up, especially in this area, it's like, oh, you're either an actor, director, and like that's it. Like no one in school talked about like all the other things you could be behind the camera. Right. So like I didn't know there was like such thing as like a prop master. Like that sounds stupid, but it's like you're not hearing people talk about like the art department or craft services. Like, you don't hear people talking about that stuff. So it was a really good exposure, and I had a blast. I had a great time. I mean, I remember I had so much fun. I made my boyfriend at the time, who is now my husband, hilarious, come do background work just to like have fun with him and his best friend. And like, we just had a great time. And it makes me sad. There was a lot of stuff that happened around the film that was, not the greatest. Because it was such a good time for me, and I think for a lot of people. And I met a lot of wonderful people. And even though I don't talk to everyone from that movie, I love that I'm still Facebook friends with them. And I'm one of those like silent stalkers who like just like looks at people. I'm like, oh, they're doing great. Okay, good. And I'm just like, it's like I'm rooting for everyone. So it's like I just truly, there's a lot of people from that movie I think about all the time. And yeah, it was just great. I don't know if I answered your question. I don't even remember what it was, but I had a great great time.
No, you answered it. It was okay. So yeah, I mean, look, the things that went bad on ZCon were largely, and I've kind of come to terms with this, like out of my control. Like we had somebody steal $31,000 from the budget. There were some people on set that were had their own agenda, and then you go through a divorce a couple months later. Tumultuous time. That being said, there was still a lot of good that came out of it. Like I still keep up with 99% of the people involved, and the people that I don't, like I quietly stalk them to make sure they're okay. But you and Logan have something in common. So Logan was I put it the wrong way. Logan over here started out as an extra on ZCon, or not ZCon, Browncoats Redemption.
Browncoats Redemption, yeah.
So you can see him at the end of the movie before the big fight scene. Stuck around, worked on production crew, building the sets. Met his now wife on Browncoats.
No way, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then kind of like stuck around. So and then he went out to California with us, with Heather Fagan and I, and I think Sabrina was there too.
Okay.
Yep, she was.
Yeah, because she drove Ground Glass home. And the scene Browncoats Redemption where Adam Baldwin makes his cameo, Logan directed it because we initially got told he won't do it by his people. And then I was like, all right, fine. Like we've gotten enough people that not a big deal. I had always worked in the cameos so that if they didn't work out, they didn't work out. But we had already had the guaranteed one of Michael Fairman as Niska.
Right. We filmed that earlier in that trip.
Yeah, that we absolutely needed. That was the only guaranteed. Everything else was just fluff. So I go up to the hotel room and I crash, and I wake up to Logan like, "Get up, we gotta go." Adam Baldwin, and I'm like walking half asleep with a thing of coffee, and I'm like, "Look, he has 2 lines. I need you to do this." So he directed Adam Baldwin.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was listening to your story on ZCon. There's a lot of parallels where I just came and saw and went, oh, this production is something special. Redemption, the way Mike was running it and everything that happened was just I knew it was from the first hour I got there, it was something more than, and it was very much the same thing where I just stuck around and now here I am
owning half the shit.
Co-owner, yeah, owning half the company. So
Yeah,
I didn't leave either.
Yeah, I feel like, especially now, I've been on a lot of different sets. You kind of like, within like the first 10 minutes, you know whether or not you're gonna like get along with people or if it's the right set for you. And
Yeah.
so yeah, that was definitely the case there where I was like, yeah, these are my people, good people.
Yeah, I mean, look, even around Browncoats and ZCon, like since then, I've worked for other people. Like I put myself through what I call my own little penance for ZCon. But you know, I PA'd for people, did other
Mhm.
stuff for people. You worked on a movie that I took my name off as a producer of.
Mhm.
So yeah, not all sets are big damn film sets.
True statement.
That being said, we're picking back up where we left off. You went out to LA
Mhm.
Because just like you described when you're like, meet this person, meet that person. I think the best thing that I could do as a director or producer is like make sure you have something next. Like
Mhm.
whether that is a contact or a job or a friend or whatever. It was the same on Browncoats, it's the same on ZCon, it'll be the same on everything else. Like our friend Karen Chansey is a virologist, and she was the focus puller for the 360-degree shot on Browncoats.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if somebody wants to do something, I really don't give a shit if they have the experience or not, if they're
Mhm.
willing to learn. And if somebody wants to work and they're a good person, I have no problem introducing them to the people that I think could help them out.
Yeah.
Which is how you got to LA. You were going anyway, but I reached out to Shauna Terpsick and I was like, have this friend Brooke, made the introduction, and everything else is your story from then on.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's funny. Like, I feel like my journey was like two things because it was like when I decided to move, I didn't have anything lined up, but my friend from high school was a producer. I hadn't talked to him in a long time, and I like reached out to him and I was like, hey, I'm moving in like 2 weeks. I don't know what I'm doing, but I want to work behind the scenes. Do you have anything? And he was like, funny enough, I am line producing a Lifetime movie. Do you want to do craft services? And I was like, I don't know what the hell that is, but like, yes. And so that movie kickstarted some of my closest friends, like meeting my closest friends there and like professional relationships. But that was more of like the production side of things. And then when I sort of started getting interested in costumes, that's when you like kind of like hooked me up with Shauna. Yeah, I remember it was like remember it like it was yesterday. Just going to meet her at Western Costume House, and she was working, and she just threw me in, and yeah, it was great. It was so much fun, and I just like fell in love with it immediately. And she was so welcoming and just really gave like really like I was surprised because like I didn't have any experience really, and she just sort of like actually like listened and took in my thoughts and like things like that. So it was a really special experience. And I feel like that experience sort of just I was able to say like, oh, I have costuming experience now, and then that sort of like funneled into like everything else. So
So you went from Shauna to I have lost count how many movies, TV shows, and music videos you've done. But let's just run down a couple.
Okay. I was like, I don't even know if I remember them all.
Let's see. I'm just scrolling your IMDb. This is
Sure.
stalking. This is fun for me because there's some I didn't remember about.
There's
You
some I'd
worked
like to
on.
forget.
There's some that we'd all like to forget. You worked on Suits.
Yes. Mhm.
Then I see that you worked on The Craft Legacy.
I did. That was one of my first. It might have been the first job I had after COVID.
Okay.
It was insane.
Then let's see, Bel Air. How was that?
I had a blast on Bel Air. Like
Yeah.
I always had a good time. I'm also like I try to be very easygoing on set. Try. Sometimes I not so successful, but yeah, no, Bel Air was great because I would go back and forth. usually I was a day player, which is pretty fun. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's just like I'm not full time on the job. So when there's like a day with like hundreds of background, or even just like more than 25 people, they'll have like another costumer. So a lot of times I'd come on for that. And then also like I'd get pulled in to do principals when they had a lot of principals on set. And principals was always my favorite. I sort of specialized in doing principals, and Bel Air, everyone was just lovely. I had a really fun time on that show. So.
And then you did the L Word, Generation Q.
Yes. Very pregnant.
Yes. I remember seeing the blanket they got you.
Yeah, it was very sweet. No, that was such a fun show. I loved our team on that one. That holds a very special place in my heart.
One of the most recent I see here is The Rookie with our Firefly connection, Nathan Fillion.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also very pregnant the last season.
So look, as somebody who went from being an extra on a super indie film in Maryland to...
Don't forget about my extensive extra work on House of Cards and Veep.
That's true. I did forget about that. Mainly because I had so many people on ZCon that worked on Veep.
No, I know everyone did.
And House of Cards.
Like every person I know did.
Yeah, the amount of people like, oh, I saw you on this episode and that episode, and like you were this, and like yeah. What's it like going from like an indie set to a major motion picture set, or something like Rookie and the L Word, like things that are... What's the disparity between the two for somebody that's like looking to get into the industry regardless of the job?
I mean, just from a general perspective, or from like a costumer, like general perspective, I would just say is like indie film. It's just, I mean, this sounds very obvious, but like, it's just smaller, right? Like, and with indie, it's just like, it's more intimate. You really get a feel for every department. Everyone is usually very involved, and like the departments are small. And, you know, I've worked on many indie films. Like even when I was working on all these union jobs, like I costume design a lot of indie films, and I loved it because it was very small. And like, but with smaller comes like smaller budgets. So there are like restrictions on like, you know, your budgets. Like it's specifically for costumes, it's like your costume budget, your cleaning budget, like all those things that you have the luxury of doing on bigger jobs. Like, you know, you can't really do as much, or you have to do more of the work, you know, like I'll be doing laundry in the middle of the night for the actors as opposed to sending it to a 24-hour dry cleaner. But with the bigger jobs, it's like, once again, it sounds so silly, but it is bigger. And like you have a lot more people you're dealing with, a lot more personalities. There's a lot more of a hierarchy. So like on an indie film, like I normally would just like go up to the director and like chat with him and like talk to him about this and that. That might not always happen on a bigger budget job. You know, it's like there's just more of a hierarchy, especially within your department. And it's important to know that hierarchy because you don't want to step on your toes. No, I'm sorry. It's just my reminder.
It's okay.
So you just don't want to step on people's toes. And you just want to sort of like stay in your lane while also remaining communicative and like looking for bottlenecks. Like that was always the big thing. That was part of my job, is just like making sure that everything was running smoothly between set and your department, because that's another big thing on these bigger productions is like, you know, like I was a set costumer. So I'm on set with the actors actively while they're, you know, doing their thing. Whereas like that could be at like 3 a.m. and then you have like the costume designer who's gone to sleep because it's 3 a.m. and they've been working all day. And like, so that it's a lot of different, there's just a lot more positions on these bigger productions. And it's good to really know, you know, who does what. That might be a terrible answer.
No, it's a good answer.
Yeah.
But yeah, indies are definitely more intimate. And just more of like, I mean, everyone's team oriented, but like Sometimes
Right.
you get more of that vibe with an indie because, there might be
Everybody's
more
doing 3
people.
jobs.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, I'm very fortunate to know people on both sides of the fence, people that are working in like major industry related jobs, and people who are just like indie filmmakers who do stuff like once in a great while with friends and family. There's a lot of similarities in the sense of like you said, in the first 10 minutes, you could tell if it's going to be a good production or not. There's also those productions that you're going to call me and tell me you don't want to quit within the first 15 minutes. And I think that really comes down to the people that are at the top, making sure everybody's taken care of, like, so you've come back to Maryland and you're going to get stuck with us. We're going to work on a bunch of stuff.
Good.
So what I want to know from you is, I know you were a brilliant screenwriter, and we've talked about costuming, but I want to hear about your experience writing screenplays.
Sure. What do you want to know?
I know you talk about it. Like you've done pitches. You've done pitches. So
yeah. No. I mean, I consider myself a successful screenwriter, despite having never sold anything. Because I think
Logan, we need to Venmo her $100. She is now a paid screenwriter.
Done.
Woo! Well, no, I should say I have been paid. I've been optioned. I have not sold anything. So I think it's very important, especially when you're a screenwriter, to take the little wins, because screenwriting, I thought it's just as hard as like acting, directing, all of those things. It's so hard to get a movie made. It's so hard to get a movie made. So like any little win you have, you should take it. And so that's what I always tell myself. And so I started writing with my good friend that I met actually on that first Lifetime movie. And we wrote, I write projects by myself, but I write TV shows with her. And over COVID, we actually optioned one of our TV shows and pitched it to a bunch of studios over Zoom, which was like slightly terrifying, but also kind of nice that I didn't have to do it in person, because like my legs were like shaking under the table, but I'm like, it's fine, they can't see it. And we had a lot of fun doing that over COVID. Unfortunately, it never sold, but you know what? I take it as a win because it was optioned. We got a lot of FaceTime with different production companies, studios, managers, things like that. So that was a really, really good experience. And then I've been writing a lot of my own ever since I had my kids, I'm having a harder time writing like dark stuff. Like I used to write a lot of like dark comedies, but after having kids, and maybe it's also just the state of the world, I don't know, but I've been writing a lot of like more like lighthearted, a lot of Christmas movies. And those have been optioned a bunch, and I'm just like constantly trying to like connect with people, pitch them, like, work with people, get them made eventually. But it's hard. It's like, this industry is not easy. It's It's not for the faint of heart. And like the crazy part is, it's like, I know it's not brain surgery. Like I know I'm not going in there and like operating on someone. But it's still very difficult to get anything made. And when you do get it made, it's difficult to like make it good. Because you have a lot of things going against you, like time, money, budget, people, like a lot of egos, like, there's a lot of things. But I love it. I told my therapist it's like the most toxic relationship I've ever been in the sense that like I just like I love it, and I will always want to make movies, even when it's like hurting my bones. Like, but I love it. I think I
feel that 100%.
Yeah, I think it like brings people together in ways, that other mediums can't. And I just like, it like saved me when my parents were going through their horrible divorce. Like, I feel like movies were such a comfort. And I think that happens for a lot of people. That it's that comfort that you need, that good cry at the end of the day. So I will like always want to make movies, despite how difficult it is. But the biggest thing I've learned is you just have to like keep at it, because you never know. You never ever know. Like I've gotten the weirdest jobs from the most random people, and like you just never know. That's crazy.
Well, and honestly, it's like the amount of people I've met doing, like when I started Browncoats, I had no idea. Like I was one of those, like I wanted to be 10,000 things. Writing and directing a movie wasn't one of them in 2008. And then all of a sudden, like right place, right time, right person asked the question. And I'm like, okay, now I know what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like it now makes sense that I like drawing and writing and this and comic books and yada yada. Like all of that stuff, like was like smacked me at one time. It's like all of your favorite things to do result in a movie which you love watching. So like, why not? But I also realized like I am weird because I like the business side of things. You know,
That's not that weird.
I don't know a lot of indie filmmakers who like, and this is the thing that Logan and I have talked about before on the podcast. So I'm not like saying this for the first time.
The baby analogy.
For the first time to you. It's the baby analogy. A lot of filmmakers like to be pregnant, and they like the process of being pregnant, and they like birthing their child. But when their child comes into the world, they're like, "Hey,
child, that fucking sucks."
No. And I know it's a terrible thing, but like, but then they give the child off to somebody they don't know to name it something else and hopefully raise it. And I'm like, no, like I have the experience of creating something, bringing it into existence with the help of a lot of people, getting it out to the world, and then watching its impact for over a decade.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. Like, I get the film industry. I understand how difficult it is to get made. I understand that there are predatory distributors out there, and I understand the hard work it takes to hustle your own stuff. But like the amount of effort and labor and work and money that goes into making a feature film to just put it on a shelf or let somebody else have control of it, or not help somebody realize their goal, like that never makes sense to me.
Yeah, that's fair. I think a lot of people get like burnt out, you know, by the time they actually have a product. They're just like,
oh yeah.
But no, I understand what you're saying. And I think it's smart. Like if you understand the process that well as you do, it's invaluable.
Well, it's also like, yes, I could go work for some other studio. Like I could go into the distribution of anybody else, and I would probably learn a lot under the tree of somebody else being an entry-level person in a distribution company. Or I could do what I do, which is a lot of research, a lot of asking questions, a lot of Logan has called it since 2009 having a golden horseshoe in my ass, and just stumbling across the right people.
At least it's golden.
Worse.
At least it's golden. So like, you know, I have fully accepted that I am going to run into random people. Like I was at D23 2 years ago, not this past year where you and I caught up, but like 2 years before, randomly bumped into a guy that is in Marvel's distribution for their feature-length films. Like we're just sitting there talking, and because I will talk to a fucking stranger, and he's like, "What are you here for?" And I said, "What are you here for?" And you know, shared with what I'm doing and what we were planning to do, because it was before we relaunched this, or right at the infancy of it. And he's just like, "Yeah, do it. Like you're literally planning everything that we would do with a lot more money." So when I hear from somebody in the industry, I'm doing the right thing, making the right decisions.
No, that's great.
Yeah. And I think that's something that's always been interesting about you and your productions and the things that you do.
Welcome to the uncomfortable part of the conversation where Mike hears about himself.
It is, because look, we went when we went out and did that filming with Adam Baldwin and everything else, we also went and saw the Dollhouse set. And one of the
you two have the Shauna connection, because
we have that Shauna connection there. She took us and kind of showed us around, and we got to see everything, and it was the coolest thing to be on that, you know, Fox back lot and going through and doing it. One of the things that I always loved was when we got there and we saw what they were filming, I couldn't get over how much everything Mike had done on Browncoats was the same thing they were doing on
Yeah.
Dollhouse, just a little bit different with a lot more money. It's like money was really the only difference that was
Yeah.
going on there, and just being able to be a part of that, and to kind of see that connection. Yeah, it's really it's a cool thing. It was just
Yeah.
it's one of the reasons that I won't say justified sticking around, but really just kind of made me see that, like, we know what we're doing, even if it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like it.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of brilliant production companies out there,
Mhm.
smaller production companies, like, and it's sort of what you said ties into what I was saying, where it's just like,
Yeah.
it sounds silly, but it's like everything's just bigger. Like it's
Yep.
just bigger. Like, and you can
Mhm.
do it if you put your mind to it, which does take a lot of effort.
Yeah.
But I think it is very special. And I think what always also got me about working on a production is just like the legacy
Mhm.
that you leave behind. Cause I always like, I don't know, I've always just wanted to leave behind like some sort of art. And I was never an artist, like, but like I just feel like, oh, I've like
Mhm.
contributed a little bit of art by working on this project. And so there's something really special about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I
So
think both the art that you make in the film, and the mark you make on the relationships and the
mhm,
lives of the people that you work with, whether you become
yeah,
friends with them, like Mike said. I mean, I met my wife on his movie set. My
yeah.
entire director
That's
in life.
wild. I had
Oh,
no
it is.
idea. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yep.
That's
Yep. I have
awesome.
pictures of us both working on the set, and, like, doing just whatever, building
That's so
stuff or
fun.
painting. And at the time, we hadn't even met yet.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's really
No, I
cool.
mean, like a lot of people I know meet like spouses on jobs,
Mhm.
and like, and it's part of it. I think it's also like the hours you work. You don't have a life outside
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
job. But no, it's like it's very special. And like
Mhm,
truly, I don't think people would work in this industry if they didn't love it or think it would, or think it was truly special, because it is a lot of
mhm.
time and effort, and you really
Yeah.
do wear down your body.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a very special
Yeah.
industry to be part of. And I'm just glad to reconnect with you guys, and
Mhm.
hopefully we can make some movie magic soon.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. We're definitely excited to get back to that and to do it. Um, and as much as it's exciting to finish ZCon and finish what we started, I think I'm also just as excited to, you know, what are we doing after ZCon?
yeah.
What's next? What are the next steps? Like, we're doing distributing of some other people's films, but
Mhm.
I look forward to building that library of ours, and directors and writers that we can work with, and we can help join together, and go into the next level.
And that's the wonderful thing about film too, is like you just never know what's gonna like hit, or what's gonna like take off, or the small little project that you think
Yep.
is small like blows up into a huge, it's like that's always the very exciting part
Hmm.
of working in film and television. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I have been thoroughly embarrassed listening to you guys talk. So thank you.
well, we love you, so
Well, I love you too. But yeah, okay. So as Logan mentioned, we are distributing other people's stuff,
mhm.
and one day soon,
Hmm.
we will make and distribute a Brooke Mulkins movie.
That'd be awesome. That'd be fun.
I want to do it.
Yeah.
Like
It'd be a lot of fun.
I'm
Hey,
at the point. I'm at the point now, like, and this is the conversation that we've had. Kind of Logan
Hmm.
alluded to it. Like, I selfishly want to help my friends make their movies, so I can have my DVD library just
Hmm.
expand
yeah,
with awesome stuff. That's
no, that'd
Absolutely.
be so fun. And I also want to bring, like, now that I'm back on the East Coast, I want to bring more production back here,
Hmm.
yeah.
and I want to be able to teach people, because I think that's something that I've really like reflected on. Is, I mean, I loved my high school, but like we really, like, it was like, go to college, get a job, business, doctor, whatever, it was just the
Hmm.
very generic
Hmm.
um obviously not generic in a bad way, but just, the like stereotypical jobs. And I just feel like there is this beautiful industry that needs more creative minds, especially now with like the way technology is going and like things are changing. It's like, I'm excited, as hard as it is to see things changing. I'm also excited to see where it's going to go.
Yeah,
Oh, 100%.
absolutely. I mean, especially I think the need for indie films and, is probably, I would say, more now with the technology and to have those unique voices all over the place. The technology is kind of that great leveler, if you will, to allow them to be heard and to step up, especially in an era where, it could be argued some of the bigger studios aren't taking as many chances on films or on unknowns or on, original stories as much as they used to.
Yeah.
And to be able to use the technology to do more of that, here on the East Coast and the West Coast and the Central, wherever you are, I'm absolutely excited about being able to do that. Because after having done Browncoats and what we did on ZCon and seen how close it is to, something shot on the lot at Fox in California, it's like there's no reason it can't be done anywhere.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, Brooke can tell you there are reasons why it often doesn't get done to that level.
Yeah.
That is for a non-recorded conversation.
Yeah. That's a podcast and a drink right there.
That is absolutely, that's Big Damn Films After Dark. There you go. All right. Gonna wrap it up with Miss Brooke. So, okay, parting wisdom for two things. One, anybody that works on a project with me, and then two, anybody looking to get into the industry.
Okay. Parting wisdom for anyone working with you, I would say, if you want to try something, just ask. Because you're very, like you said, you're very open to letting people just try anything they want. I mean, I think, sorry, I just smacked my computer. I think, because I think at one point I asked you if I could like hold the camera. Like I've never held a camera before. And it's like, you're a great person to learn from. And so I think if people want to ask questions or ask to do something on set that they might have never done before, then just ask, because you're a good person to ask. And I've said ask a lot.
Yeah.
I need more coffee, but no, it's true, because you're not going to get that experience on like a bigger production and possibly not another indie production. So utilize it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still, there is a young girl named Haley who was one of our extras and got really interested in makeup and stuff like that and asked questions. And I'm like, yeah, go talk to Vince, go do this, go do that. She went off to do Tom Savini's school for college for makeup effects.
Awesome.
So it's, I firmly believe that like ask questions. It's honestly, it's how I got started. Like I just called Fox and asked questions.
Yeah.
And it's really not that hard. I mean, it's just the worst thing they're going to say is no, and they can't say no until.
Well, and just the exposure, like, people aren't, like I said, people aren't exposed to all these types of jobs. Like there's greensmen, there's like, I'm just trying to think of like random, like, there's standby painters, like, there's like,
runners.
Yeah, there's runners, there's PAs, there's assistant, there's just so many jobs, and people are just not exposed to that. Specifically, I found like in our area, like I just feel like because there's just not a lot of film, and you're like, your economy's not built around film like it is in LA. Like it's just different. So
well, I also think, and welcome to Patreon time, because this is going to get hit the cutting room floor.
A few moments later.
So, and if you're not part of our Patreon, you don't get to hear fun shit like this. So you missed out on a whole like however long conversation. So that being said, Brooke, we're going to let you go. We're going to talk a little business that you're going to hear about, and then we'll catch up after this thing's done recording.
Okay. Sounds good.
Cool.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun.
Thanks for being here.
Of course. No, it was a blast. I love talking to you guys because I could do this like all day.
Oh yeah.
All day.
Our wives have gotten together and have decided like they want to know what we talk about, because Wednesday night's Big Damn Wednesday. Like we talk business once a month. We'll record the podcast, and they're like, what the hell could you talk about for 3 hours? I'm like, well, if you listen to the podcast, you could find out.
You would know.
You would know. Like, we put it out there.
Yeah.
All right, Brooke. I love you. Thank you for doing this.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you, Logan.
You too.
All right, so let's talk some business real quick.
Yeah.
Big Damn Business. It's our last business talk of the year.
It is.
The Jester is in review with a bunch of streaming platforms. Had a quality control issue that got fixed, so we should start having some streaming dates beginning of January.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Let's see, Fright Before Christmas 2. We sent notes to John. Hopefully they'll get done. We'll be able to do Blu-ray this year, hopefully, but streaming will be next year.
Yeah. Streaming takes more time than you'd think it would.
Yeah, about 8 to 12 weeks to get approval for most things.
Yeah, and we can get the Blu-rays done in 10 days.
Minutes. Yeah, 10 days.
Yeah.
That being said, our little first venture, Fright Before Christmas 1, has been trucking along, is on 12 platforms.
Yeah, it's doing really well.
Yeah. We'll talk numbers afterwards, because December is exceeding November's expectations.
Ooh.
And December is only 12 days in.
Yeah, it's done.
It's only half.
Which,
done.
I mean, look, it's the Fright Before Christmas. Christmas movies are big at Christmas time.
That's also very true.
Yeah.
That being said, I think this is a good time to conclude the December edition. And end of year 2 Big Damn Films.
End of year.
This podcast will come out right between Christmas and New Year's. So Brooke, who's listening, gets to hear that there'll be a period of time where I'll be editing this and not worrying about it. What do you say we bring the music in?
Let's do it. Yes, the magic of post-production. And there you have it. The December episode of the Big Damn Podcast. Shout out, as always, to DJ Zafer for our intro and outro themes.
And as a reminder for those of you not paying attention, and for Brooke, the music that Brooke heard when we logged in is actually our intro and outro music. And that was written by Noah Summer, who was one of the kids in ZCon.
Yeah.
He was DJ Zafer and is producing music. We also want to thank our Patreon supporters, Lauren Budd and Bill Farrow. Happy birthday again, Bill. Love you. Thanks for supporting our little company. We want to make sure to subscribe, follow us on all the social stuffs, and stay tuned for more behind the scenes stuff. This is the end of 2024. It's crazy. It's the end of 2024. It is crazy to know that we're going into 2025
and year 3.
7 movies to come out from Darkstone in 2025. 8 from Big Damn Films, because we're doing ZCon.
Yep.
And fuck it, we went from like nothing to throwing everything at the wall.
0 to 100, baby.
There we go. So what do we say when we say goodbye? We
say, as always, thanks for listening. We'll add in a happy holidays. Be kind to each other, be good to each other, and enjoy everybody you can in the season and the new year. And as always, keep telling your big damn stories.
There we go.